My name is Livia Monroe, and I was 31 when my 8-year-old son's whisper rewired everything I thought I knew about my marriage. The airport curb was still buzzing in my ears, rolling suitcases, fading announcements, when we pulled back into the driveway. My husband had kissed my cheek, promised to call, waved like any normal man leaving for work. Inside the house, the silence felt heavier than usual. As I set my keys down, my son tugged on my sleeve. His voice was barely air. "Mom, we can't stay home." I smiled at first, brushing his hair. "Why not?" His eyes were wide, too awake. "I heard Dad talking on the phone last night. He said after he leaves, things will be easier. He said no one will stop him." The room felt suddenly colder. A hum in my ears drowned everything else. I crouched, meeting his trembling gaze. "Did he say anything else?" My son nodded once. "He said not to worry because we wouldn't be here much longer." I didn't ask questions. I didn't argue logic. I grabbed our coats, my purse, and his backpack. We slipped out the back door, hiding at a neighbor's empty rental 2 streets away. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A security camera notification. I opened it, expecting nothing, and froze. Because on the screen, I saw a man who was supposed to be on a plane, standing inside our living room. My hands shook so badly, I nearly dropped the phone. The camera angle was wide. Our living room, the couch, the lamp I'd forgotten to turn off. And there he was. My husband. Not at the airport. Not on a plane. Inside our house. He moved slowly, deliberately, like someone who wasn't in a hurry anymore. He checked his watch, then pulled something from his coat pocket and set it on the coffee table. A folder. Thick. Labeled. Even through the grainy feed, I could read one word printed across the top. Insurance. My son pressed closer to me, his small fingers digging into my arm. "Mom, that's him, right?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. On screen, my husband went down the hallway, toward our bedroom, toward the closet where I kept important papers. Passports. Birth certificates. Things you take when you don't plan to come back. My phone buzzed again. A text from him. "Boarding now. Love you both, red heart." I felt my stomach drop. The lie landed with surgical precision, calm, practiced, rehearsed. On the camera, he stopped at the bedroom door, then looked straight up. Straight at the camera. At me. And for the first time in our marriage, he smiled without warmth. That's when I understood. He knew I was watching. And whatever he was planning, he never intended for us to be alive when he returned. I turned the phone face down like it could see through me. My son's breathing was fast, shallow. I pressed his head into my coat, feeling my own pulse hammer in my throat. "We're not going home," I whispered, more to myself than to him. From the dark rental window, I watched the street. Every passing headlight felt like a spotlight. My husband's car was still gone, which meant he'd planned this with margins. Time buffers. Alibis. I flipped the phone back over. The living room feed showed him returning from the bedroom with a small metal box, our fireproof safe. He set it on the table, opened it with the code I had set years ago, and removed 2 passports. Mine. And my son's. Then he took out another document, unfolded it carefully. A will. My will. Updated. Signed. Dated last month. A forged signature, so clean it stole my breath. The beneficiary line was already filled in. His name. A knock tapped the rental door softly behind us. I nearly screamed. My son clutched my sleeve. "Mom?" I didn't answer. I muted my phone, slipped it into my pocket, and moved toward the door, every step measured. Through the peephole, I saw a woman mid-30s, calm, professional. She raised a badge just enough to catch the light and whispered, "Ms. Monroe? I'm with airport security. Your husband never boarded his flight." My legs weakened. Before I could open the door, my phone vibrated again in my pocket. A new message from him. "Check the cameras, Liv. Time's almost up." I opened the door just wide enough to see her clearly. She kept her voice low, controlled, someone trained not to escalate fear. "Your husband flagged our system," she said. "He bought a ticket, cleared security, then walked out the staff exit." My son pressed behind my legs, shaking. The agent's eyes softened when she saw him. You did the right thing leaving, she added quietly. My phone vibrated again. I didn't look. I didn't need to. We followed her to an unmarked car parked half a block away. The night felt stretched thin, like glass about to crack. Snow creaked under our shoes. Somewhere nearby, a garage door slammed and my heart jumped. Inside the car, warmth rushed over us, but it didn't calm me. The agent handed me a tablet. This was recovered from your husband's carry-on when he abandoned it. On the screen, emails, drafts, timelines, plans for accidental gas exposure, notes about carbon monoxide, insurance payout calculations. My breath came in short bursts. He was careful, she said, but not careful enough. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked. A photo, the inside of our house, and something unfamiliar sitting by the furnace, metallic, newly installed. A caption beneath it. You left early. That changes things. The agent reached for the radio. We need units at the Monroe residence immediately. I pulled my son close, my cheek against his hair. I finally understood the truth. Running wasn't the end of his plan. It was the complication. And my husband was about to correct it. The car lurched forward as sirens cut through the night, not screaming, just enough to clear the streets. I held my son so tightly he whispered, Mom, you're hurting me. I loosened my arms, resting my chin on his head, counting his breaths so I wouldn't fall apart. The agent spoke into her radio in short, coded sentences. Every word sounded like a door closing behind us. We stopped 3 blocks from our house. No closer. Through the trees, I saw blue lights scatter across the snow like broken glass. Fire units, police, gas company trucks. The agent handed me another device, live feed from inside my home. Men in masks moved quickly, shutting valves, pulling equipment away from the furnace. One of them held up a small metal cylinder and shook his head. Carbon monoxide release trigger, the agent said quietly. Timed. Remote-enabled. Remote. My stomach turned. My phone buzzed again, then stopped. Signal lost. The agent met my eyes. He realized you weren't there. He tried to accelerate the plan. I stared at the screen as officers searched every room, the couch, the hallway, my son's bedroom. That's when a voice came through the radio. We found him. My breath caught. Where? The agent asked. A pause. Parked 2 streets over. Engine running. Watching the house. I closed my eyes. The man I married wasn't leaving for a trip. He was waiting for a funeral. And for the first time since my son whispered that warning, I knew we were finally ahead of him. They didn't rush him. That's what chilled me most. 2 officers approached his car slowly, hands visible, voices calm, like they were trying not to spook a wild animal. My husband stepped out obediently, palms raised, wearing the same coat he'd hugged me in that morning. From a distance, he looked normal. He even smiled. On the tablet, I watched him speaking to the officers, nodding, gesturing casually, the same way he used to explain away late nights or missing calls. Misunderstanding, he mouthed. I could almost hear him. Then one officer opened the back of his car. The smile vanished. I leaned closer to the screen. Inside the trunk, tools, gloves, a second metal cylinder, and a backpack labeled with my son's school name, sharpened in his handwriting. My chest seized. The agent beside me inhaled slowly. That bag shouldn't be there. On the radio, a voice cut in tight and urgent. We got prior research on the subject. Digital logs. He's been testing exposure limits for weeks. Weeks. While I cooked. While I folded laundry. While I slept next to him. My son stirred against me. Mom, are we safe now? I kissed his hair, tasting salt. Soon. But even as I said it, my phone vibrated back to life. One last message from my husband flashed across the screen. You always did underestimate me. This isn't over. And in that moment, watching them put him in handcuffs, I understood something terrifying. The arrest was only the beginning. The officers led him away, his eyes darting between us and the flashing lights, calculating, calm. Not angry. Not desperate, just assessing, as if this arrest were a puzzle he was already planning to solve. My son clung to my leg. Mom, will he come back? I held him tighter than ever. Not if we do this right. The agent handed me a small folder, court documents, evidence logs, recorded threats, copies of the cylinders, and the emails he sent himself to plan everything. I flipped through them silently. Every page screamed intent. Every line screamed danger. And every page was mine now. I looked up at the agent. We press charges? She nodded, calm. He won't walk away from this one. A thought hit me. Years of fear, whispers in the dark, pretending everything was fine had led me here. To a position of control. To a moment where I could protect my son. Where I could finally stop hiding. I walked outside, snow crunching under my boots, and felt the weight lift. My son laughed, a small, fragile sound, but real. For the first time, the house behind us wasn't a cage. It was a warning. And I was the storm waiting for him when the trial began. Because some men underestimate mothers, and some men pay for it. Courtroom lights are harsh, cold, unyielding, but I didn't flinch. My husband sat across from me, handcuffed, trying to maintain composure. The same man who once whispered threats in our home now looked smaller, stripped of control. The prosecutor presented every piece of evidence. The cylinders, the timelines, the emails, the threats. Every lie he told to friends, colleagues, and even our family crumbled under the weight of truth.
He tried to speak.
Livia, you don't understand. I shook my head, voice calm, steady. I understood the moment my son warned me. I understood the moment I saw the plan. I understood the moment I stopped hiding. The judge's gavel echoed like a drum. Guilty on all counts. I exhaled slowly. My son squeezed my hand. Relief and pride mixed in a quiet wave. My husband's eyes met mine one last time, a mixture of disbelief and bitter recognition. He had underestimated me every step of the way. Outside the courthouse, sunlight hit our faces. I looked at my son and whispered, "We're safe. We're free. And we'll never let fear rule us again." My husband would serve his sentence. He'd pay for his crimes. And for the first time in years, I felt the quiet joy of justice done. Some plans are meant to destroy.
Some are meant to protect.
I chose the latter.